All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the webinar on routines for the fall. If you give us just 1 second, we're going to get this going on Facebook so that folks can watch it there as well. Give us just a moment. All right, we are officially broadcasting this on Facebook. Our participants are joining us. Sorry for the silence, everyone. We are getting folks coming on, so give us just a minute to let folks participate. And I'm going to pass this over to our panelists. Sydney, if you could give yourself an introduction, and then Amy.
Yes, hello everybody. I am Sydney. Welcome back to one of the next installments of our monthly webinars. As Amanda already said, today we will be talking about starting a new routine this fall, getting back into routine. A little bit about myself before I pass it back over to Amy to get us started. I have a bio degree from Washington University in St. Louis, and prior to working with Equilibria, I had experience working in the international medical cannabis market. So just one last thing before we jump into this. Today, if you do have any questions, we ask that you please put them in the Q&A box rather than the chat. We, of course, encourage everybody to get involved in the chat, start talking with each other. But if you do have any of those questions, we will be pulling them from Q&A. And as always, today, we will not be fielding any medication questions. If you do have questions about taking medications in tandem with your CBD, you can always reach out to us at dosage@myeq.com. So without further ado, passing it over to Amy.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Sydney. Thank you, Amanda. I'm super excited to be here and have this discussion about falling into wellness. As mentioned, I'm Amy. I'm a dosage specialist here at Equilibria. Hopefully we've spoken on the phone before, but if we haven't, I'd love to connect with you. So please give me a call. Just a little background about me. I have a background in medical cannabis. I've worked with a lot of different types of patients, primarily with a focus on elderly patients, people who are in assisted living, who are wanting to move into a plant-based medicine. So let's talk a little bit about fall. I really love fall. I think a lot of people do. I think given the last couple of months we've had, maybe we're looking forward to some of the positive changes that we see with fall. One of the things about fall is it's a great time, not just for your CBD, but for your home, everybody to start making new plans, kind of change out the windows. Maybe it's time to put in the storm windows. Maybe it's time to bring out the winter clothes and put the summer clothes away. With all of that change happening, it's a really good time to kind of dial in and think about maybe some of your health and wellness goals, maybe some of the things that you want to work on during these colder winter months. The days are getting shorter, our schedules are getting a lot busier. Many of us, hopefully our kids are returning to school, safely, if that's something that we have kids old enough to do. Additionally, many of us have returned to offices or doing more travel, and we're headed into what's going to be a really busy season. All of us know that the holiday season is a time where it can be really joyful and fun and exciting. It can also be super stressful. So just like we want to change out our storm windows and put the summer clothes away, we're going to use our CBD to kind of prep for winter, to get ahead of our health goals, to kind of prepare and gird our loins for the busy holiday season and for everything that we now have kind of thrown back into us. And some of us are kind of struggling with it too, because we've been in our homes for a long time, or we've had a lot of different changes. So really a great time to just take stock of where we were, where we want to be, and start making plans now with both CBD and with what you do in your home and in your life. So we'll talk a little bit more about it, and I'll shoot it back over to Sydney. Today, we're going to cover off in this little discussion a lot of different basics about CBD. What is CBD? Where is it sourced? What kind of formulations are there? What are the differences between isolate, broad spectrum, full spectrum? How does this work in your body? We'll obviously do a little bit of a deep dive on our products. How do those work? What are the different options that you have? Soft gels, daily drops, rapid calming melts. Our new gummies are super exciting. Which product is right for your routine? Maybe you've had a really solid routine that you really enjoy, but maybe you'd like to try something new, or you're thinking there are some areas that you could brush up on. And then the last thing we're kind of going to touch on too, in tandem with how we use our CBD for our lifestyle, is what other lifestyle changes can we make? What are some things that we want to incorporate in our day-to-day that will support our health and well-being through these darker, colder months, and also maybe reinforce our CBD habits? So I'm super excited to get into it. Sydney.
Okay, so as Amy mentioned, the first place we're going to start, and as we always start, is what is CBD? And the first thing we need to do to understand what CBD is take a look at where CBD comes from. So the CBD that we're using in our products comes from hemp, but both hemp and THC dominant cannabis, otherwise known as marijuana, are considered the same plant botanically. They are both the cannabis sativa plant. So when it comes down to it, what really is this distinction? Mostly it is a legal distinction. In 2018, our government passed the Farm Bill, which legalized hemp on a federal level, and hemp is defined as cannabis containing less than 0.3% THC, whereas THC dominant cannabis is anything containing more than 0.3% THC. And while hemp is legal on a federal level, THC dominant cannabis to this day is still legal on a state-by-state basis, both medically and recreationally. Practically, there's a couple differences between these plants too. Whereas that hemp is going to have small amounts of THC, which means it's not going to be psychotropic, or in other words, it can't get you high. THC dominant cannabis does have more THC, as the name suggests, and that's what's notorious for giving that feeling of being high. So a CBD is one of many, many, many cannabinoids, and cannabinoids can be categorized in two different ways. One way is the endocannabinoids, which are cannabinoids produced in your own body, whereas phytocannabinoids are those produced in plants. So looking at the endocannabinoids first, two of the more well-known ones are 2-AG and anandamide. And while you may not be familiar with those names, a lot of people actually are a little bit more familiar with anandamide than they anticipate. Anandamide is considered the bliss molecule, and it is responsible for giving you that feeling of a runner's high after working out. So phytocannabinoids are, again, the cannabinoids produced in plants. And while we do have that one phytocannabinoid CBD that everyone here is obviously familiar with at this point, there are actually hundreds of identified cannabinoids in the hemp and cannabis sativa plant, including that notorious THC. Another one is CBN, one is CBC, CBG, and again, over 100 others. But what's really cool about the similarities between cannabinoids, endocannabinoids, and phytocannabinoids is that on a molecular level, these compounds are structurally quite similar. So that means since your body is already creating its own cannabinoids, the endocannabinoids, you're prepped and primed to use these plant-based phytocannabinoids when you ingest them. So the next question becomes, how exactly is our body using endocannabinoids and phytocannabinoids? And one of the answers there is in the endocannabinoid system, or the ECS. As you can see here, this system is located in nearly every area of the body and has two primary receptors, the CB1 receptors and the CB2 receptors. When your body is using endocannabinoids, those endocannabinoids are going to stimulate these receptors. And one of the ways in which phytocannabinoids can help support your ECS is by directly binding to these receptors as well. Another way in which phytocannabinoids may help support your endocannabinoid system is by actually helping to increase the amount of endocannabinoids you have in your body at a given time, otherwise known as your endocannabinoid tone. To dive a little deeper into that, our endocannabinoids can be rapidly depleted in the face of stress. And one of the ways in which phytocannabinoids can interact with our chemistry is by downstream impacting the rate at which these endocannabinoids are broken down. In fact, it can reduce the rate at which these endocannabinoids are broken down, which ultimately can contribute to an increased endocannabinoid tone. And that's why it often takes a little bit of time to see results with CBD. It's not like you can go to the gym one day and expect to see results the next day. CBD is the same way. We have to take it consistently on a daily basis in order to give your ECS the support it needs. This is also why we don't talk about CBD as a treatment for underlying medical conditions. What we can use CBD to do is amplify your body's natural balancing and healing properties to address the symptoms of conditions. So for example, stress as a symptom of anxiety. A lot of our members are looking to address stress and they will use the word anxiety, but we're talking about stress in this instance. So before we jump into our products in particular, I wanted to shed some light on just what the range of products can look like in the CBD industry. As you can see here, there are 3 primary formulations for CBD: isolate CBD, broad spectrum CBD, and full spectrum CBD. We're going to start all the way on the right here with full spectrum CBD. This is what we use here at Equilibria. And as I mentioned before, full spectrum CBD will have those trace amounts of THC less than 0.3%. But as you can see on this slide, full spectrum CBD contains a number of other compounds as well, which can be categorized as the phytocannabinoids and terpenes, which are the essential oils of the plant. And what's really great about having all of these different therapeutic compounds in your formulation for CBD is that they work synergistically, not only to amplify the properties of one another, but to ultimately maximize the efficacy of your CBD at lower doses through a process called the entourage effect. Now, taking a look at the middle graphic here, broad spectrum CBD, as you can see, these formulations also contain CBD, a number of other cannabinoids and terpenes, but notably, broad spectrum CBD does not contain any THC. So while you still can get the benefits of the entourage effect with the broad spectrum product, we do typically see middle range doses with these, and that's because THC really is a key player in the entourage effect. It can help direct that CBD to the right place in your body. So again, you can get the most therapeutic effects, typically at the lowest doses. Isolate CBD, just as the name suggests, is CBD alone, which means you're not going to get any of the benefits of the entourage effect. And this is why we typically do see isolate CBD users taking the highest doses. For reference, among our members, the average dose is anywhere between 20 and 50 milligrams per day, whereas isolate CBD users may be using hundreds, if not thousands, of milligrams of CBD a day. So moving right along into our products. Before we talk about them in the specifics, what we offer, I want to talk a little bit about what sets our Equilibria CBD apart in a pretty crowded CBD marketplace. So starting right in the upper left corner, we have single sourced. Here at EQ, we have a partner farm located outside of Boulder, Colorado, where we have worked with seed geneticists and scientists to create a proprietary strain of hemp that we are growing harvest after harvest, year after year. And that means you can rest assured knowing that you will get consistent quality CBD throughout your entire time as a member with us. Additionally, this farm is using organic farming practices to ensure that there are no heavy metal, solvents, pesticides, or other environmental toxins in the final product. It's really important with hemp in particular to choose a brand that is following organic farming practices, because hemp is well known among the farming community as what we call a phytoremediator. So it can actually absorb all of these toxic compounds out of the soil. And believe it or not, the hemp plant doesn't really experience much damage. It's not really worse for wear. So you want to make sure that they are using those organic farming practices, because otherwise it's really difficult to distinguish between good hemp and potentially contaminated hemp. Beyond that, our farm is also using hand harvesting techniques to ensure that you are getting some of the highest potency CBD on the market. And this is really beneficial for two reasons. One is that if you have ever looked at a hemp or a cannabis flower, you'll probably have noticed that there's a fine dusting of powder on it. Those are called the trichomes, and that's where the majority of the therapeutic compounds from the hemp plant live. So hand harvesting not only allows us to help protect those delicate trichomes, it also ensures that the less potent parts of the plant, which would be the stems, seeds, and leaves, are not getting into that source material and therefore are not, quote unquote, watering down the final product. While we do offer a lot of unflavored, uncolored products, those of our products that do have added flavors or added colors, those are always going to be natural sources. There will never be any sort of artificial flavors or colors in your products that you buy with Equilibria. Finally, and potentially most importantly, while we of course do rigorous testing along the entire production process, we are proud to always have our third-party lab results available on our website for you to view, for your healthcare provider to view, whoever needs to view it. We encourage you to look at those. And those are there to confirm our claims about the purity of the product, the efficacy, the number of cannabinoids and terpenes. It's all in those documents, and you always want to make sure that any brand you purchase from makes these lab results available. So jumping into our products now, the first one that we're going to talk about today are the daily soft gels, which come both in a 10 milligram regular strength and 25 milligram extra strength formula. Whenever somebody is starting with CBD, we do encourage you to start with our regular strength products. So you can start low and slow, and then the dosage support team will be here to help you figure out if and when it's time to try increasing that dose. So the daily soft gels will be a great product to consider if you are somebody that needs subtle background support, whether that is during the day or at night. A lot of our members will choose to take a soft gel during the day to help support their baseline of stress, maybe help manage their mood. Sometimes they'll take them at night to help them with staying asleep overnight. They can also be used for things like maintaining your energy or focus throughout the day, addressing discomfort, whether that's daytime or at night. When it comes to the effects, they usually take about 1 to 3 hours to kick in, last for an average of 6 to 8 hours. And the most important pro tip that you can use with the daily soft gels will be taking them with food. In particular, we do recommend a healthy fat, and that's just so we can help form a protective barrier around the CBD while it's going through the production process. Oh, I'm sorry, digestive process, not production. We don't produce, we digest. And with that, I'm going to pass it back over to Amy to speak through the next slide.
Thank you so much. I'm going to jump in and talk about daily drops. I love the soft gel. So just to piggyback off of what Sydney said in terms of your soft gel being a slower onset and a subtle in the background kind of support, daily drops are kind of a little bit different in that they are going to hit you a little bit faster. So we do make daily drops in a mint and an unflavored, as well as offering some fun summer flavors and some holiday flavors, but those are our two standards. As she mentioned, mentioned, we have our regular strength, which comes in a 300 milligram. We also have our extra strength, which is a 1500 milligram. And the extra strength is just going to have more of those cannabinoids and terpenes. And as Sydney mentioned, if that's something that is the right step for you, certainly working with your dosage specialist, we can kind of move you slowly into that. But we always suggest starting low and slow. That's one of the things that I do love about drops. So unlike that soft gel, when you swallow it and it processes through your digestive tract and we kind of go, okay, well, whatever was in there was in there. Your drops are really different because they enter sublingually through the glands under your tongue, also some of the tissue in your cheeks and your lower lip. So what that means is they're going to pretty much bypass your digestive system. They'll hit your bloodstream directly, which means you feel that a lot faster. So one of the great things about using drops and that sublingual application is you have the opportunity to titrate, to start with smaller, low doses, going slowly and giving your body a little bit of time to kind of gauge, do I notice something from this dose? Do I not notice something from it? You can even start as small as half of a drop or 5 milligrams with the regular drops. I often advise members start with that small half dropper. You'll get better absorption. Use your tongue. Think of it like a topical for your mouth, sort of roll it around. You're going to be glad nobody's watching you while you're doing it, but you're going to get better absorption. And also then set a timer and see 20 minutes, 30 minutes later, how do I feel? Do I feel like the edge is coming off a little bit more? Or do I notice that maybe I don't have quite as many aches and pains? If you don't, you can go back, take a little bit more, try another half drop or set that timer again, see how it goes. So this is a really great tool because one, you can do that low and slow approach. The other thing is for different times of stress or different times of, oh, I was out gardening all weekend. Maybe I want to see if this does something with that funny feeling in my shoulder. You can then go to your drops and take that half drop or full drop or see, do I notice a change or not? It's a really versatile tool to use. And it's something that even if you do know you're a really solid soft gel person, sometimes people like to have those drops as an extra tool in the toolbox when it comes to health and wellness. It's just one more little thing that you can lean into. Unlike soft gels, drops don't really need to be taken with food. I'm never going to tell someone not to have a nice healthy fat or to have a piece of dark chocolate to help your anandamide production. But you don't need to take them with something in your stomach because they're bypassing your digestive system. And just so you know, because it often happens, members might swallow a little bit of those drops. That's okay. It's still going to work topically in your gut. It gets disseminated through your ECS. But the real benefit of that sublingual is having that direct to bloodstream, a little bit better bioavailability, and kind of the area to gauge if I notice something or not. And this is something that we kind of refer to often as dynamic dosing. That might be something where if it's you've taken a soft gel earlier in the day and suddenly you got this horrifying email at 2 o'clock in the afternoon and you notice a spike of stress, try your drops, see how it goes. Winding down at the end of the day, this is one of my favorites. And I tell a story endlessly to any member who will listen, that I've had members who will say to me, I used to take a quarter dropper before the kids came bouncing off the school bus. I've accidentally taken a half. And now I notice I don't crave a glass of wine at 5 p.m. So just so you know, playing around with that dosing and knowing if it's when the kids come barreling through the door, or it's like, oh my gosh, I need to transition quickly because I know I've got to get to doggy daycare. Taking something before the stress hits, like a daily drops, you know it's going to hit quickly. It's like pain, get ahead of it. So that's just a little bit of info on those daily drops. A lot of members just really enjoy them, even if they are somebody who goes to a soft gel regularly, just to have in their back pocket in case. You can see from the slide, they're going to hit you, as I mentioned, within 10 to 30 minutes. And depending on your body, they'll stay with you somewhere between 4 to 6 hours. So what's the next slide? Oh, daily gummies. Our gummies are brand new, and I have to say I am just a huge fan. These are just a great tool to use. This, again, like a soft gel, it kind of toes the line. It's a really nice place when you want to be on both sides of the fence. It's a subtle, slow, in the background kind of feeling. The flavor is really delicious. I am a little bit of a flavor snob. It's something that's not too sweet, not too tart. The pineapple dragon fruit, I actually kind of look forward to. But when I say it kind of toes the line in between daily drops and soft gel, the nice thing about the gummies is they are infused with CBD. So a lot of times when you get a CBD gummy, it will either be coated with a sugar coating that has the CBD or it's sprayed with the CBD. So what does that mean? It means that it's not as consistent. Who knows how much of that sugar falls off and what your dose actually is. Again, having them sprayed from the exterior, if it's rubbing up against another gummy or the inside of the container, we don't know if that CBD is coming off inside the container. With an infused gummy, you know that you're not losing any of it. The dosing is consistent. And the other thing about that is as you're chewing your gummy, you're activating it. So the faster you chew your gummy and the more you swallow, the more it's going to act like an edible. Okay. The more it's going to maybe take a little bit of time. It's got to process through your digestive tract, etc. And it might stay with you somewhere between 4 to 8 hours, depending. Everybody's body is different. If you chew your gummy more slowly, it's going to act like a tincture, like a sublingual. It'll start absorbing through that tissue in your cheeks and that sublingual glands under your tongue. So depending on what's going on and depending on your day, maybe you want it to act more like a tincture. Maybe you want it to act more like an edible. I just like it because I know that with our long days, it's kind of nice to have something to look forward to. And so this is kind of less prescriptive and feels more like a treat in my day. They don't need to be taken with food. That's another great thing about them. They are made with a little MCT oil, so that's fantastic. You've already got something for it to hold on to. And one of the things that I really, really like about them too is that they don't have a lot of calories and they only have 2 grams of sugar. So it's a really, really nice treat to have that is also going to do something to help kind of take the edge off. Then we'll move on to our, I'm sorry.
And before we move on, we had a question that I feel is appropriate to pop in right here. I normally would just wait till the end, but Paroma asks, why not combine gummies with the drops rather than the soft gels? Do you mind talking about that now?
Totally. Absolutely. If you want to, you can do one or the other or both. And I only offer up the gummy with the soft gel as if that's the option that you like. If you're somebody who likes an oral, you like the way that soft gel works, this might be a nice addition. But absolutely, I am somebody, I've already admitted this to Sydney earlier. I love that the quick action of the daily drops. So this is kind of a nice in between. These two things can absolutely be combined and they can be a little bit interchangeable too. If it's one of those mornings where normally you would take a soft gel, you could take a gummy if you haven't eaten something. You might not get the same exact response, but that's one of the ways that you can work with it. Or it might be that you take half of a dropper and daily drops in the morning. That's like your get up and go. But now you want something a little more subtle through the rest of the afternoon. You want that longer hang time, that subtle support that you might have with a gummy. So absolutely, you can use your drops in tandem with any of these products, but I am a big fan of the drops and gummy combo.
Just to quickly add on there, you are welcome to use any combination of these products that you are interested in trying, that you feel might be the best fit for you. There is no one size fits all dose or routine. You're going to hear that phrase come up a couple more times throughout this webinar, but whatever you are interested in starting with is where you should start. And the dosage support team is going to be here to help you navigate the world of dosing, the world of different products. We have blog posts about modalities. We're happy to talk about it on the phone, via email. It's all about you. This entire process, this entire journey is you-centric, the member-centric. We are here to help you.
All right, should we talk about our rapid calming melts? So rapid calming melts, again, another sublingual application. The great thing about the rapid calming melt is that they have a patented binding technology. So they're going to bind the mucosa under your tongue. They hit really quickly, 15 minutes usually, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. I think I'm a 15-minute, but they're going to stay with you for about 3 to 6 hours. They are a smaller dose. They're a 5 milligram dose. And part of that is because of that really great binding technology. We know you're getting a nice full dose with that. They do really kind of pack a punch. They've got a nice mint flavor to them, so that's pretty subtle. They're meant to be used as needed. They're really not there to be part of your routine. They're kind of, we refer to them sometimes as a break glass in case of emergency sort of thing, where something has spiked, stress has come out of the clear blue sky, you suddenly have something that you weren't anticipating that's been thrown into your schedule. That's a really great great time to incorporate these into your routine. They're kind of, again, one of those things that you might want to have in your back pocket just in case. It's just a nice little add-on. They're going to dissolve in about 5 minutes. And like I said, have a mint flavor. So they're nothing too atrocious that you have to deal with. They're super, super discreet. So that's another reason that they can be great to just kind of hang on to in your pocket or your purse or your bag. If you're sensitive to CBD though, I am going to tell you, a lot of members that I speak to will say that they started out with half of a melt and that was very effective for them. So just like we say with anything else, start low and go slow if you have any trepidation or questions about it. All righty.
Okay, so I'm going to get us started off with this nurturing routine section before handing it back to Amy. But as I said, you are going to see everybody's body chemistry is different. So there's no one size fits all dose of routine come up a couple times in this. And that is because it is very, very true. Everybody's body chemistry is going to respond a little bit differently to CBD. And even in the same family, I know that my routine is very different from my mom's. It's different from my dad's, my sister's, even my grandma's. They're all very different, even though some of us are trying to address the same health goals. We are also looking for small, subtle, incremental improvement, especially as we get started and through the first couple months. As I mentioned earlier, no one expects to go to the gym once and then see, every result that you were looking for the next day. Progress and change takes time, which is why we do like to see results within the first couple weeks. But our members are reporting their best results on average around 3 months into following a daily, consistent, customized routine. Fall in particular, as we were talking about earlier, is really a good time to start a new routine. That way you have that leeway to set yourself up for success by the time the holiday season starts. And you can even take your routine to the next level by implementing things like lifestyle changes that'll also support your body's natural balancing and healing properties like CBD does. The same way that we use CBD to support our bodies, we can do things with our bodies and our lives to support your CBD routine. Finally, last point before we jump into these specific tips and tricks, but life changes. Nothing stays the same for too long, especially these days. I mean, we're living in the middle of a pandemic still. So as life changes, your routine likely will have to change as well. That is not only normal, but it is expected. Believe it or not, one of the factors that strongly contributes to what your dose of CBD is going to be at any given time is your stress level. So as your stress levels change, whether that is, maybe the levels changing, maybe the stressors are changing and presenting at different times during the day, that's going to inform when and how we structure the base routine and take those additional doses as needed. So passing it back to Amy here to start talking about some of these specific tips and tricks that we came up with.
Thank you, Sydney. So I'll jump in and talk about sleep hygiene because this is one of the things, especially with our circadian rhythms readjusting as the days get darker, earlier, and we kind of wake up in the morning and go, oh, maybe I'd like a few more minutes under the covers. First of all, lifestyle support. If you can, get your face in the sun as much as you can early in the morning. Let your body know that yes, it's daylight and we need to be active. And even though it feels good to lay under the covers for a few more minutes, it's really going to be more beneficial for you to get out and see a little sunshine. So I know that saying these things, it's so much easier to do this, you should do that. It's very easy to talk about it. It's really hard to practice. We know how busy your lives are. We know how busy things can get and how you kind of fall off the table. But sleep is a really easy place to start. And I know I say that a little tongue in cheek because so many people struggle with sleep, but that is a good place because you should be reminding yourself that that's time to restore your body. And that is a foundation of wellness. So having a rested body so you can get up and do the things that you need to do the next morning, it's all over here. It's not just self-care. It's for your friends, your family, your coworkers. You need good sleep, right? So with your sleep hygiene, when we talk about that, we really want to make things stick. You got to be vigilant around your needs and your wellness goals. So one of the things that I tell people right away is if you are struggling at night to stay asleep, or you just notice that if you do get up to go to the bathroom, maybe it's harder to get back into bed, taking a soft gel with dinner. You know that you've got some food in your stomach, something for the soft gel to cling to. It's going to take a little time before it works through your digestive tract anyway. So partnering it with dinner is a really good place to just add it in. You know you've got some food in your stomach. It's going to take a while before it hits you. Maybe it eases you into sleep a little bit more gently, but then it's going to stay there with you for overnight support, slowly releasing for up to 8 hours. So that's something to consider if you haven't in the past. And again, to kind of say to your circadian rhythm, yeah, you're right, it's dark outside. Let's go to bed and let's stay in here and get restorative sleep. The other thing is you can use your drops before bed. As I mentioned earlier, since those are such a fast acting product, usually if you introduce those drops, that really quick delivery mechanism at a time when your body wants to fall asleep to begin with really good bioavailability, you might find that you're falling off a little bit faster. Definitely, I say this all the time, but put your screens away. I know we all have this inclination to check what our day is going to be tomorrow, or, oh, did I do this thing? Or I should read this news story, or I need to respond to that text. The light is terrible. The constant touching of the phone is terrible. None of it is good for you. So put it away. Make sure that you get part of your evening to be that, okay, if I am going in to wash my face at 9:30, I wish I was washing my face at 9:30. If you're washing your face at 9:30 and brushing your teeth, let's habit stack. That's the time that, if we take anything extra, we put on the eye cream, this is a really habit stack. Get ahead of it. Start 30 minutes before. Give yourself runway. Try those drops if that's what you need to. And the one thing that I will tell a lot of members is use the relief balm. Rub it into your shoulders, into your neck, sometimes at the hinge of the jaw. If you're somebody who goes to sleep at night and you like to do that jaw clenching, give yourself just a little tiny bit there before you fall off to sleep. This is going to sound also strange. Bottoms of your feet before you go to bed. A little bit of that relief balm on the bottoms of your feet really works miracles for a lot of people. And the thing with that is too, you get to enjoy it. It's got Bulgarian lavender in it. It's got a little arnica in it. So it's doing more than just giving you CBD. And then lastly too, on the whole idea of lifestyle support, think about that me time. That is restorative time for you. That's important for you. So make it a focus and really don't let anybody rob it from you. We'll move on and talk about scheduling your week. How about that? So this is another one that I know it's really easy to talk about, like schedule your week, get ahead of it on Sunday, because that's what you really want to be doing on your Sunday afternoon. But we know that there are going to be stressful events that are going to happen. We know that somebody's going to throw up at school, the dog's going to have an accident, something's going to happen that's going to throw it all into disarray. Anything that you can do to get ahead of it. So if you know when it comes to CBD that you've got a big webinar that you're doing on a Wednesday night and you need to maybe calm yourself down a little bit, take the edge off, good time to take your drops ahead of something stressful. If you have a big presentation, if we're back in the work world and we're traveling again for work and we need to do something, get ahead of it. Try taking a full dropper before you walk into the meeting that always makes you lose your cool. The other thing is, like I mentioned, I know the Sunday is not the day that everybody wants to sit down and talk about their work week and their school week and everything else. But if you can just find 30 minutes on a Sunday or a Saturday or a Friday with a glass of wine to sit down and think about, what do I want the next week to look with? What meals are going to be planned that will make my week just go that much more smoothly? And with that, we're going to touch on kids in school a little bit later in this. But one of the things that I think is super important is that if you know that, Wednesday night is soccer or piano lessons, or I like to take that class at the yoga studio, give yourself a break. Make that the night that it's a pizza party or that you order something from, whatever your local place is. That's fine. Get ahead of it. You can slide that in. That's scheduling your week, scheduling a date with the pizza party. The other thing that I always tell people is, because we're now back on going, and we know that we've got to get to the dentist and we've got to be here, keep something with you. Whether it's a bottle of daily drops that you just keep in your, purse, or you have some rapid calming melts in your car. We all tend to get a little hacked off now that we're back in traffic again. So that's a really good thing to just have, because you never know, as much as we try to schedule the events, what's going to happen. One of the other big things is say no. Say no. If somebody asks you to do something during your week and you've got a lot going on, it's okay to say no. It's more important for you to protect the things that you already have going on and pay attention to the things that are meaningful to you and that make you feel good. You'll be more available for the people who do need you through the week. So let's see, what else are we talking about? How about moving on to, we did schedule your week and busy work days. Thank you, Sydney. So busy work days also, just much like scheduling your week. Work days can feel a lot like we never know what's coming down the pike as much as we try to plan. I understand that as well. So that's another place too, where having something like a gummy, having something where it's that slow, subtle support, you don't have to worry about whether or not you've had food in the morning, you're on your way because you've just made the drop off. The gummy is a great place to start in the morning. When you're doing that and you're doing the drop off and maybe you're slowly chewing your gummy, think about doing other mindful things. Think about practicing some breathing techniques. Think about counting. Tapping is another one. If you ever tap, is a good way to just slowly count as you tap. It's a relaxation. So when you do know you have to go and open up the laptop, you've had your gummy, you feel a little more mellow, maybe you've done some deep breathing. Try to schedule as many breaks as you can. And sometimes you can align those breaks with taking your CBD. Like I mentioned earlier, looking forward to that treat as a break, not prescriptive, but something that you can not only do for your own health and well-being, but it's a little breakaway in the action. That's a great placement for anything that you're leaning into. If you do, as I mentioned about those melts, the rapid calming melts are a really, really great tool for busy work days, because I think all of us know we go in with a plan and we get a lot of things thrown at us very unexpectedly. Being able to pivot quickly, and especially in a collaborative environment, especially with the endless amount too of Zooms that we're doing where we need to pivot suddenly, that's a really great tool, fast acting, and you can break them in half. Take a 2.5 milligram. It doesn't have to be the whole thing. Save it for later because we know we'll probably get another stressful email. So capitalize on your circadian rhythm too. That's another big one. As much as we've talked about getting up in the morning and putting your face in the sun, know that with your CBD, because it does partner with your circadian rhythm, you can capitalize on times in your body when you feel more alert. And that those smaller doses, even that 2.5 rapid calming melt, might be something that's helpful in driving your focus. If you break that melt in half, using drops, half of a dropper or a quarter dropper before you have to go in and do the presentation, or you really have to focus on getting the presentation together. Those are all tools that you can use in your CBD toolbox. Yeah, and then limit your notifications, just like we talked about with bedtime. If you've got stuff popping up on your phone that is just going to disrupt your focus or going to be upsetting, focus on what you're doing. Everything else will be there later on. It's still going to be there for you later. Don't worry about it. Kids in school, I mean, hip, hip, hooray. I couldn't be happier that my kids are back in school with their masks on. But what this means now for a lot of us is that we have kids who are maybe going to different schools. We have different drop-off times. Maybe one of them's taking the bus, somebody's walking, somebody forgot a lunch. Is there a lunch? We don't know. So lots going on. You're hitting the ground running as soon as you get up, as soon as your feet touch the ground in the morning, it's go, go, go. So this is another place where I say daily drops all the way. Fast action. I need instant gratification. Also, once I'm up and I know I've been up for a few minutes and my body says this party started, we're not going backwards. Great time for you to add your drops in. You can take them with your coffee. It's so easy. Keep them in your car if it's for the commute. It's just that easy for you to have them on that drive in. Start your day with a huge glass of water. One of the things we always tell people when taking CBD is hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. You should always be hydrating regardless of whether or not you're taking CBD. And because you've got that long run ahead of you, you should get ahead of it. Have a nice big 8-ounce glass of water as soon as you're up. Rapid calming melts, I already talked about. When you're on the go and something's happening and you're picking up the extra kid and there are 5 million things going on in your back seat, maybe a rapid calming melt is something that you can reach for. It's pretty discreet, small, easy, fast. Plan lunches, plan dinners. If your kids are able to make their own lunches, make them make their own lunches. If they have a school program where once a week they can pick up something from the school lunchroom and that eases the burden for you, by all means, outsource it. Let somebody else take care of it for the day. Your kid's going to be fine. Try taking a gummy after you do homework. We're doing a lot of homework these days. I'm sure everybody is. And just to have a little more presence of mind, also to have something to look forward to, because nobody wants to be doing algebra at 47. But using that gummy maybe gives you something to look forward to. It's enjoyable. And it does kind of just take the edge off, give you a little more leash, a few more minutes in your head to process what's going on and be thoughtful in your responses. That's, I know how everybody wants to interact with everybody in their lives. So those are all great tools you can use. Think about all the different busy things that you have going on in your day, and remember that you need to reward yourself for being the person who facilitates that for everyone else. All right. The last thing I'll say too is with nighttime, so many members I speak to talk about that witching hour, that stretch of time. It could start at 3 or 2 and it could go until 9 o'clock in the evening. If this is a difficult time, and I think it is for a lot of us, that might be a place that you want to lean in on your routine too and say, you know, formerly I was taking my soft gel in the morning and my drops at bedtime, and that worked really well for me. But I notice now with so much going on in this dinner hour, I just really don't feel like I have the patience I'd like. Try using your daily drops, maybe take a half dropper before then. So lots of different ways that you can kind of play around with the different products and things that you can do that will help support not just your health and well-being, but then everybody else that you're connected to. Staying active. Not like you aren't active enough running around doing 5 million things, but with those days getting shorter and with the number of events that we have to be paying attention to, people tend to get a little bit more stressed out. As we mentioned earlier on, we're headed into holidays. And even though that can be a super fun and exciting time, it also tends to be a time when we just overindulge and we let a lot of bad habits enter in and we kind of let the good habits fall off the table. Starting now with your activity, both with your CBD and with the small lifestyle changes you make, even in small things, even if it's taking the stairs rather than taking the elevator, there are really small choices that you can make all day long that will keep you active. It's going to sound really silly, but doing small tasks around your house, doing small housekeeping things around your house is a form of staying active, and it needs to get done anyway. So feel really good about that. Try using your CBD before a workout. Why not? I know that a lot of us, because we're hitting it hard and heavy with our COVID situation, are feeling it afterwards. Maybe we went just a little too far in our yoga practice. Maybe we worked a little too hard on the bike. Taking your CBD after you've exercised, or sometimes before, to address some of that inflammation that we see post-exercise is a good thing, because you won't then say the next day, gosh, I'm going to take a break today because I just don't feel great from yesterday. You know, use that to keep yourself active. Listen to your alarm and not the sun. Like we said, get outside if you can see the sun, you know, put your face out into the sunshine, remind your circadian rhythm that yes, you're correct. It's light out. We should be getting up and doing something. That's going to keep you feeling more energized throughout the day. It's also going to help you get into bed sooner at night, because your body's going to go, wait, we've been up for a while. It's time. It's dark. We need to get back in there. Think about things like getting your phone, as much as I don't want you to talk about it, but do set yourself little reminders during the week that are like, hey, this might be a good time to take a walk around the block with the dog. Or if you have a buddy, if you have someone that you can connect with who's also got some health and wellness goals that they want to work on, or they're maybe in a similar life stage that you are, this is a great person to connect with and be accountable to each other and kind of mark milestones. What did you do? Literally can text somebody and say, I just meditated and took my gummy. What did you do? I'm not joking. I do this with my friends sometimes. And try habit stacking. If you know that you really love, and this can even be like kind of naughty habit stacking. if you know that you'll get up and you'll do the walk on the cold morning because you like getting the coffee afterwards, do it. Get the coffee afterwards, reward yourself for what you've gotten up and done. And then also stack your CBD use with that, or any other thing that you want to start introducing. I'm terrible about taking a multivitamin. I've started habit stacking it into when I'm taking my CBD. Doing that kind of thing will help you stay on track, be accountable to yourself. And the other thing too is stay socially active. We talk a lot about staying physically active, and that's really important, but being socially active, it doesn't have to be obviously right now going to a big party, but it can be small things like making emotional deposits with your friends and family members and some of the people that you share workspace with. Being engaged socially will just motivate you more to be physically active as well. And our brain is a really important tool that we need to remember to keep active too. Unwinding with CBD versus alcohol. So here's a really good one. So a lot of us look forward to our glass at night. A lot of us want a little sparkling, maybe a Cabernet, you know, whatever that might be. But what you might find is if you took a daily drops dose prior to your first glass of cab, you might find that that's your only glass of cab. It might be something that just helps mellow you out a little bit more, so it can actually help you reduce your alcohol intake. Sometimes if you find that I'm just a little more mellow, I don't feel like I need a second glass of wine. One of the things about using alcohol to unwind is, especially for so many of us who struggle with sleep, it can be really disruptive to our sleep too. So if you can replace that glass of wine or second glass of wine with a gummy, why not give that a try instead? Take 5 minutes of your day at the end of the day. And a lot of us, I know we've had questions about how that transition works. It's really tough to be moving from our living room into our kitchen because work is in the living room and family is in the kitchen. And so we kind of want to use that cocktail as like our transition period. Try instead taking a few minutes away from whatever it is, the kitchen, the living room, go into a different space, whether it's a meditation, whether it's a time to use your daily drops or take your soft gel. You can do that kind of habit stacking as well, but take time away from both of those places and don't make it that that's the habit I go to, that I immediately close up my laptop and I now walk into the kitchen and I have my glass of wine. Disconnect from that association as much as you can, if you'd like to move away from using your glass of wine or two to unwind at the end of the night. The other thing too is with alcohol and travel. I'm mentioning this because I know that many of us are beginning to travel more, and I know that that's something that can be overwhelming for a lot of people. And we have this inclination when we get into the airport bar to go, you know what, I'll have like one drink and that'll help. Don't. You're going to get dehydrated on your flight anyway. You know, try something different. Try taking a little bit of your daily drops. Try a rapid calming melt instead in the airport. And the other big one is social occasions. Again, with COVID, so many of us have been out of our social realms. And so reintroduction into those social occasions can be a little bit scary. Rather than over imbibing, try using something prior to going to that event and see if you feel a little bit more at ease when you walk into the room.
So I'm going to finish us off here with automate what you can. I do not have kids and I have too many things to do in my day. I can imagine that those of you who have kids have way too many things to do in your day. And while technology can be technology sometimes, it can also be really helpful in other situations. So there's a number of different ways that you can start to automate your life. We had a couple questions come in on Instagram earlier in the day that I wanted to address here. People were asking, how can you find new things to kind of revive your routine, to give you something to look forward to every day? One example of automation, I recently signed up for an app that texts me twice a week, giving me fun things to do outside in Chicago, which is, as a 20-something-year-old in Chicago, that's something really awesome to look forward to. It's things I can do with my friends. You might have something like that in your city. Maybe there's a Facebook group that gives automatic notifications for things like that. Definitely investigate different ways that you can automate activity in your life and automate suggestions for activity, because a lot of the time it is, lack of knowing what's out there and lack of knowing what to do. So that's one thing I wanted to add in. Going right back to the slide though, Monthly payments, a lot of different platforms allow you to automate those monthly payments now. I know I personally pay my credit card bill, my utilities, recurring monthly. Late payment does not need to be something that you're stressing about every month necessarily. So if you have the option, definitely consider automating things like your credit card bill, utilities, student loans, phone bills, whatever you can so that you don't have to add that to your plate each month. You can also automate things like grocery shopping, whether that's recurring deliveries, doing recurring curbside pickups, just even a recurring shopping list based on what your needs are. There's apps that will allow you to input your shopping list that you did one month. You can cross things off as you've gone through them. And then the next month, it'll curate that shopping list for you. Another thing that we can use to reduce stress. Home appliances are a big one that people are automating these days. Whether you are worried about walking out of the house and leaving the garage open, the alarm on. If any of you are like me out there, I frequently wonder whether I will burn down my apartment because I left the flat iron plugged in. And having your home connect to your phone in any way possible can be a really great way to just instill that peace of mind through the rest of the day, knowing that anything you forgot in the rush can be handled from your device. Again, technology, it's good and bad. You don't want to be on it too much, but can definitely help instill that peace of mind in a lot of ways. Second to last one here, medications and supplements. Whether you are using a brick and mortar pharmacy, you are using an online pharmacy, many give the option of automating refills, automating notifications, letting you know that those refills are ready to be picked up. There are monthly subscriptions to different supplement companies. You can do that through a pharmacy. You could do it through a company if you're interested. And on the note of health and wellness subscriptions, automation, you can even subscribe to automatic renewals with CBD. Here at EQ, we do have a subscription service available for all of our members. While you can absolutely purchase one time as needed, if you want to never worry about running out of CBD again, we absolutely recommend that subscription. They are automatically renewed on a 28-day cadence, so every 4 weeks. Subscribers get a bunch of really cool benefits here at EQ. We have a subscriber Facebook group that is one of the best ways to interact with other EQ users, hear about their stories, share your stories, share advice, get advice. It's all happening in that Facebook group. We also offer special subscriber promo codes in addition to 20% off of your order every month. That 20% does stack with our quantity discount logic. So if you're subscribed to one item, you will just get the subscription 20% off. Subscribe to 2 items, you've got 10% off plus the 20% off for subscribing, and then 20% off for 3 or more items in addition to the 20% off for subscribing. Finally, what's really great about Equilibria subscriptions is that you do have the opportunity to change your products each month. You can change your renewal date, all at your convenience, and they can be canceled anytime, no strings attached. So I know we're running short on time here, but I see we've had a couple questions come into the Q&A box. So going to hand it over to Amanda and see if we can get through any of those.
Yeah. All right. So Jane asks, do you need to take the rapid calming melts with food?
So the rapid calming melts, similar to the daily drops, are absorbed under your tongue, which means they do not need to be taken with food. However, with the rapid calming melts, especially if it is your first time, we recommend trying it that half a rapid calming melt first on a day when you'll have some time to relax. That way you can see how your body responds, see, how you're feeling with that half dose. And then the next time you can decide if you're going to stick with a half tablet or a full tablet. The one tip I'll give about the rapid calming melts, it's not with food. You do probably want to take a big swig of water before you go ahead and put that under your tongue. Just because it is a dry tablet, you want to make sure that your mouth is lubricated, for lack of better terms.
Thank you so much, Sydney. We did also have a question that came in. I did answer it sort of via text, but Carol asked how regularly we have site-wide sales. I'll just answer that to the group. Our promos are always different, and they're sort of just at different periods of time. So there's no regular schedule for promos. I will say that right now we have two different things that are going on. For folks that are not subscribers, we have the Fall 15 code, which will get you 15% off a one-time purchase order, and you get free rapid calming melt samples. So you get a little 3-pack of rapid calming melts. If you have purchased with us before, or you're a subscriber, we have our refer a friend promo happening right now, where if you refer a person, they get $30 off of their order and you get $30 off of your order. So, and you can do that as many times as you want, and you will continue to stack up $30 every single time. That's running through the 30th of the month, as is the Fall 15 promo. And we are sending regular emails out about those. If you aren't subscribed to our email list, I definitely would recommend signing up for our emails. Those are just, that's the promos that we have going on right now. You're welcome to check those out on our social, or if you have any questions, you can of course ask them again in the Q&A. I hope I can help you answer those. Oh, also our subscribers always get 10% off on any one-time purchases with a code called always10. So that exists for subscribers as a subscriber benefit. So if you ever want to try a product out, you can try it out as a checkout purchase, not adding it to your subscription. If you just want to try something, you're not really sure you want to commit to it, you can do that as well. Or you can of course add it to your subscription, get the 20% off. Maybe that's going to add another item to your bundle discount, which would give you an additional 20% off there. So you basically would be saving like 40% off retail by adding another product to your subscription. And you can always change your subscription the next month, or of course, pause those items at any time. That's the sneaky way to get an extra juicy discount on your subscription items.
You'll also be able to add in your edit subscription page, you'll be able to add something as next order only as well. So if you're looking to try something, you want it to come with your next renewal, you can always add it that way as well. And then you won't have to worry about potentially taking it out of the subscription later on.
Absolutely. Jane asks, if you are a subscriber and you skip 3 months, do you still get the 20% discount? 20% discount is always on your subscription. You're not going to receive anything during the 3 months that you've skipped, but it'll still be there when you come back. I don't even call it skip. Do we call it skip? Do we call it hold?
Yes.
You basically put it, okay, so you're skipping.
You can skip months. We don't have a true pause option, but you can skip as many months as you want. We have some members who, for example, find out they are pregnant, which is always very exciting to hear. Some people choose to use CBD while they're pregnant, others don't. And those who don't often will just skip 9 months of their subscription. And that is totally okay. And then it's, baby, not really a surprise. CBD comes, surprise.
Yes. And then it looks like Paroma asks, I am on a subscription, but reconsidering it as there are no discounts after the first order. Are you considering locking subscription orders to a lower rate to retain them as subscribers? Else it might just be better to order every time I run out. Paroma, as just mentioned, there's the 20% off, which you're getting, which is always, you're getting that 20% off the retail cost. Plus, if your subscription has more than one item in it, if it has 2 items, you're getting an additional 10% off. And if it has 3 items, you're getting 3 or more items, you're getting 20% off in addition to the 20% off that you're already saving. Hopefully that helps. We do send promos out to subscribers. I don't want to spoil any information, but we've also got a fun program coming in about 2 or 3 weeks that will probably entice you to stay on as a subscriber, because you'll get even more benefits coming up here in a couple of weeks. So stay tuned for that. Look in your email for that.
Yes.
Did I miss anything? Yeah.
Just to reiterate, subscription is going to be the best way to get the most value out of your Equilibria experience. One-time purchasers can get that 10% off for 2 items or 20% off for 3+ items, but subscribers on top of that will always get the additional 20% off.
That is all the questions we have. And I know we are a little over time, but what a great presentation, you guys. Thank you so much.
Happy to do it. Thanks everybody for joining. I'll let Amy speak a little too.
Thanks guys for having me and letting me talk. It's been a pleasure. I hope everybody found this informative. It was just lovely to talk through everything, and everybody enjoy fall. Let's get ready.
Yeah.
Enjoy fall, and we have another webinar coming up next month. I believe it is the last Thursday of the month, or the last Wednesday of the month, usually. So
It is.
definitely check out our webinar landing page under the Learn tab on the website if you are interested in attending another webinar. We always change up the topics. We talk about different things. So excited to see some familiar faces next time too.
Awesome. Okay, everybody have a good night. Thank you.